So we're going to get started. If anybody gets live on this, please make a comment. Vic's going to be live, fielding comments. I'll talk about anything. I'm going to try to be pretty brief, a little bit less verbose than my typical. I'm trying to just condense the gist of the information, the emotion of energy, and the energy that I want to give you guys without, talking about it from 26 different angles about the same thing. That I think that most people understand when I say the topic of this video is going to be, why do I fail when I feel like I should succeed? Meaning missing easy shots in situations which, maybe I have I feel like I should be able to do the shot. Why can't I do the shot? It doesn't really matter the situation. It could be a match, practice, etc. What is it that is going on? Why do I fail when I should succeed? What is going on with that? So I'm going to try to answer that in my own perspective about kind of the way that I've dealt with that kind of thing, where I think that there's a certain amount of, I'd say, people shooting themselves in the foot without realizing that they're doing it for themselves. But everybody kind of knows that you're doing it to yourself. That's the thing. And it kind of becomes standard, I think, for a lot of people at the beginning stages, that most of the other players, we're speaking about pool here, as you begin, mostly you don't have access to the top tier talent, which even where I live, there's only even a couple of players that have potential to maybe someday be professional level players at this point, and we're hoping to change that through starting to understand ourselves a little bit better so we can do better. Because I don't think there's any reason physically or mentally or emotionally why someone isn't capable of performing high level pool. I have 675 Fargo. At one time I was approaching 700, took time off for my son. So there's reasons why you don't get there, even if you're capable. Everyone's kind of you gotta understand that it's sacrifice needs to be made for every ball that you're gonna hit. Something else to be done with that time. And I think that one of the reasons why people fail when they could succeed is because they are relying on what's going to happen after they shoot the shot to take care of them versus how they're going to take care of themselves by shooting the shot properly. Because I think that a lot of people have sacrificed getting better to be comfortable, even though that comfort actually is holding you back. Because I think everybody knows the growth mentality is about facing uncomfortable situations. And everybody knows that you got to challenge yourself to get better. And then you got to work on your stroke, and you got to do the shots, and you got to understand the angles and all the physics that are involved. And all that stuff, it's all sacrifice that you have to make to learn. And most of that sacrifice just really comes down to a change in your identity, where if you're going to be good at pool, you can't be hobbyist. You can enjoy the game at all levels, but if you consider yourself a hobbyist, then you're telling yourself that you're not ever going to be a top level player. And I'm not saying that you should label yourself as a pro level player and then fail miserably to that until you achieve that goal. With that being said, if you're trying to be a pro level player, then that will help you, because you will be constantly running away from the bad shots, the ones that fail, and you'll be learning from those, because your image of yourself and how you should perform doesn't align with missing, doesn't align with getting out of line, and that you're going to learn by identifying with the higher ideal, how to overcome the deficiencies that you have right now, which is why we're failing when we should succeed, because we know how to make this ball go in, and we know how to keep the cue ball on the table after contact, and yet for $20 we might miss this shot, you know, and that's pretty amazing if you think about how by changing all the stuff that's out here and keeping all the stuff that's here the same, you can affect the outcome of what's about to happen. You know, and I think that when you can take yourself away from the game and understand more who you are as a person right now and what your tendencies are, so that you can then change those tendencies to create a more positive reflection of who you want to be on the table, how you want to demonstrate yourself on the table. So I would say for myself, things that I'm working on to allow myself to be more successful is actually to remove some of the labels that I'm using for myself and like things that I should be able to do but don't do, and stop even thinking about that as being like, what are we even talking about? Like, why are we even talking about failure? You know, we should be talking about what do we need to do to be successful? You know, how do we need to think in our mind, focus our energy, spirit, whatever you want to say, but be in alignment, you know, with what's about to happen. Like, you know, if I need to make this ball, it's a simple process that you should, at some point, kind of understand exactly how you go about doing a shot. I don't know what your process is. My process is pretty simple. You know, I will look to see where I want the object ball to go here, because if the goal is to make this one, you know, be as precise as I can about seeing it enter the middle of the hole. In my mind, like visualizing, like a feel thing. You got to see it go, feel it go. You know, and then once you can kind of see that, then you can kind of like, okay, where does the cue ball need to hit to make that happen? You know, and you can kind of guess. It's easy to see. You know, you can go right over the top and all that stuff. You know, when you're not shooting the shot and you're like observing, it's obvious. That's what's amazing about it, is everyone can see when you're about to miss except for you. But you can still see it. That's the thing. And I think people don't see what's really going on because they're thinking about all the different things that can go wrong, and then now what they're doing is identifying how to fail on the shot. And that what they should be doing, what you should be doing, is just doing the thing without thinking about what's going to happen after you shoot the shot. Like, what we're really trying to do is just give your full attention, full awareness, full capacity, your whole being, and shoot this shot the way that you feel like it should be done, the way your full capacity should shoot it. You know, and wherever your position is, say I want to just make it and then come and stun over and then enter the middle of the table and land right here. Now, once you've defined that, now all you have to do is just like, well, if you feel like you can't do that, then that's where you need to practice. Now, if you feel like you can do that, and you can't do it when you want to, when there's a situation that demands that you do it, I don't know what that situation might be for you, but there are situations where you just feel like you have to do it no matter what, or it's over. And if you get into those situations and you start failing, then that's where you got to start understanding, okay, well, a lot of what's happening is not my ability, but what it actually is not even a lack of confidence. It's more like you've been trained and that you've gotten used to that, and then now the narrative becomes, why do I keep missing these key shots in these key situations, and I don't understand why it keeps happening. And a lot of it just has to do with the fact that you have a narrative that's inserted that you need to have a change or a modification of your narrative in order to allow you to be okay with executing a shot in a new scenario that's on paper going to liberate you from your current personality and move yourself into a higher tier, a higher echelon of ability, and move you up, so to speak, in the standings of pool. And that part of being able to be more successful at pool is realizing that as you get more successful, that people are going to treat you differently, and that that's actually what you want. You want to be treated differently because you don't want to be treated as someone that feels sorry for you because you failed. But we draw ourselves to the sympathy card so easily because it feels natural to do that. What doesn't feel natural is to take full responsibility for everything that you do in your life and then realize that nothing will change unless I change. That's not the way that we're taught. Not really, because we're taught by watching what other people are doing and how many people are actually doing that. You know, more and more, but not as many as we could. And that's kind of the point of this video, is that in order to start making balls that you should make, you have to actually just believe so deeply that it's going to happen that you can't even question, that it's like a joke to even consider failure as an actual thing. And a lot of this has to do with modifying your definition of these words to make it okay to fail. Because the information that you're receiving from every shot is enough to teach you exactly what you need to do differently to succeed. And in order to do that, you need to be in the moment and not creating a narrative about how it's about to go down and then just replaying that narrative. If you get stuck in a loop, then you feel like you own that loop and you can't get out of it. And you have to break free from that by changing something, modifying something, improving something. You know, whether that be like, okay, in this tournament, I just didn't feel comfortable because XYZ thing. You know, the table was not my pool table at home, or I don't get to practice enough, or all the different reasons. They're all legitimate. It's true. That's the thing. But if you take ownership of yourself and be like, I have an unknown capacity, but I have the knowledge that this shot that I'm about to shoot can be done if I follow my best process, then I will shoot the shot, and then my best process incorporates objective analysis of what's happening, what my body is doing, and what I'm trying to emulate in my mind, which is a thing that does not exist yet. I'm trying to create it. I'm not trying to use my memory to make the shot happen by being like, okay, this is 11 and a half degree angle, and on an 11 and a half degree angle shot, I have to hit 75% full ball, or whatever it is, 3/4 ball, and then I have to use, you know, medium speed in order for the ball to come off and go to here. If you think about what I just said in my analysis about what's about to happen, you'll notice that there's 3 different ways that I can misperceive what I'm about to do. And one of those is, like, first of all, you have to judge the angle, right? That can be wrong. Not only that, then now you have to, like, judge, okay, based on what I thought was correct, now I have to make another judgment about how to aim the shot. And then not just that, then now I'm having to like decide with a word how hard I have to hit the ball. And now I have to be like, well, what is medium speed actually? It doesn't mean anything. That's the problem. It's hard to understand what it is because it's just a word. It's not an experience. It doesn't. Medium speed is not force. You know. So I'm just trying to point these things out because I think a lot of people limit themselves by trying to find the shot. If you think of it like, if I want the cue ball to end up right here after the shot, that means that it's going to go from here to here. And I'm going to, when the shot happens, I'm going to see where the cue ball goes after I hit it, right? So what I'm trying to do, instead of doing all the math, I'm going to try to experience the shot as deeply as I can before I shoot it. So that then, when I'm experiencing the shot, by doing it, then I'm just taking what my direct awareness is happening right now, and I'm trying to use like a creation, like I'm painting a picture about what I'm about to do, and then now I'm actually going to do the action, and now I'm going to compare after what I was trying to do with what I'm doing now versus doing an analysis of what has to happen, so to speak, with mathematical formulas, which are all imprecise, and thus less effective as a feel system would be if you just realize that the goal is to experience the shot as many times as you can so that you can then recreate the experience of the shot, the feel of the shot, the sensations of the shot. And that will allow you then to be like not thinking about the situation, which is words that you're applying over the top of something that is just an action. It's like, I am playing in a tournament, and now we're, in the quarterfinals, and my opponent has a higher Fargo rating than I do, and you can continue to define the situation as deeply as you want to. The problem is if you've never won a match in that situation, how are you going to do it now? What's going to have to happen for you to succeed? The shots are going to be makeable almost every time that you miss. The question is, how much are you caring about the situation? Because the more you care about the situation, the more awareness you're using on the situation, and the less awareness and energy you're putting into the actual shot that you're shooting. And that's why people fail when they should succeed. Because they're not shooting the shot. They're living a narrative, and that narrative controls what they do on the table. And that, if you have a narrative about like, my Fargo is this, that person's Fargo is that means that when we play pool, if we play 10 games, they should win X games, I should win Y games. And that's like statistically what's supposed to happen. And now you take that layer of knowledge, that layer of labels, definitions, and then you apply it directly to yourself, saying that is how good I am, then how are you going to get better? You're not even thinking about all the things that matter for improvement. You're spending all of your awareness narrating what's happening. You're not spending it making the ball go in. It's like, I've been talking about this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. I could have been hitting balls the whole time. And I'm not saying that that's my point of what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's kind of where it comes down to, is like, by doing it the way we're doing it, which we just talk about it so much, and we don't do the thing, all we're doing is getting better at talking. We need to get better at doing. That's the thing. It's like, if you want to learn how to win in a situation or you keep failing, you just need to keep putting yourself in the situation and you need to keep analyzing, what is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm doing? And then realize that that's not the important part. The question is, what should I be doing? What am I visualizing doing? And pay attention to that and change that, modify that. Be like, this is a situation where I recognize that I, in the past, have failed. With that being said, I know that now, and then now I am equipped with tools to help me succeed where I was failing before because I modified my behaviors. And I now deserve another shot at it, another try, because I've actually done the work that I think I needed to do in order to be able to be successful right now. And if you can't create that narrative, it's going to be difficult to succeed when you've been failing because you haven't done anything to deserve it in your own mind. If you don't deserve it, how can you get it? It doesn't happen that way. You know, people that win the lottery that don't really deserve it in their mind go broke right away. And that's what happens in pool too, is that you have to know that it's going to work out, and then you have to shoot the shot as such so you can normalize it just working out for you. You don't worry about failing because failing isn't a thing. It only exists because you talk about it. If you just shoot the shot and you keep shooting, eventually you'll learn how to make the ball. And then what are all the misses were not failures because now you can do it. We keep talking about how we're only getting halfway, but you need to complete the chain before you can start talking about why we're failing. I mean, you're not even trying to succeed if you haven't figured out how to like get yourself to the point where it's okay to miss. Because that's not what we're doing. We're trying to just match up the painting that we have in our mind with reality, and if we can't make that painting us winning, us completing, us doing the thing, then how can we make it happen? We have to embrace the moment. And that's the uncomfortable part, is because it's easy to define your life with words. It's not as simple to live your life and then have someone else write the biography in their own opinion, and you don't care about what they think about what you're doing because you're doing what you want to do, and that's what matters. You're accepting full responsibility for what you're doing, and that's what matters. You know, you accept that your opponent is okay with losing to someone that does the thing better than you do. You know, and so my recommendation for people that are struggling mentally with, you know, failing when they could be succeeding would be mainly to do a little bit more self-exploration and you know, discover a sense of accountability in your own self that doesn't exist yet, and develop that, because you are the one that is doing it all when you hit a ball. Everything that happens is you when you hit the ball. If you don't have full control of what's about to happen, that's where you can get better, and that's where you need to get better if you want to be more successful, because this game is all about control. The more you can control about what you're doing, your actions, the way you express yourself, is how that's your road to success. You can't prevent a player from doing anything. There's always a shot, almost. It's that amazing of a game where it's so hard, so difficult to take someone's ability to create and smash it. So you just have to cultivate your ability to create and self-actualize through learning how to do that, which a lot of it is that you're not aware of the process of growth, which is that, you know, you have to fail, so to speak. You have to get out there and do and experience and try and gain experiential knowledge, life experience, not just go to school and study and watch me talk to you and explain the things that I'm trying to explain that I myself have not mastered. I'm just trying to explain where I am at with my own self, trying to help other people understand for themselves, like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Maybe I should give that a little bit of credibility, and then I should give it a moment and take a moment of my practice time or a moment of my day and reflect on what this person has said, and maybe I can gain some benefit from that, because why else would he be talking? I'm not here to hurt anyone or to make you a worse player, but I can't take accountability for you. I can only take accountability for myself. And that's why I'm trying to help people. Anyways, I hope that's all helped. Has anybody made a comment? No?
It's got 3 people.
Alright, so anyways, I'm going to be done with it. I don't have any more to talk about that. If anybody wants me to talk about anything else, you always leave comments. We appreciate all feedback. There is no bad feedback. If you felt like you got benefit from this, please like, share, subscribe. You know, get on buy some merch. You know, we've got these quarter zips, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got hats now, we got pants. These are not the pants. You know, old stuff. But we love everybody. Hope you all get better, figure your lives out. That's what we're doing. It's just figuring our lives out, sharing. Thank you.